Ever get that feeling? Like when the world just seems off.
Off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're on a different wavelength, frequency nobody else is tuned into, you know?
Ah, I see, yeah. That sense of not quite fitting in, especially I'd say during those, well, those turbulent teenage years.
Exactly. It's like you're an outsider looking in. And that's the headspace we're diving into today,
Oh,
folks.
interesting.
We're taking a deep dive into J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye,
Classic.
a true classic, published back in 1951. And it just drops us right into the world of this 16-year-old Holden Caulfield.
Right after he gets the boot from school.
Expelled, yeah.
Not the best feeling.
No, definitely not. It's more than just failing classes. It's like this huge social stigma. You're instantly labeled, set apart.
And that isolation, amplified, for
Right.
sure.
Big time. So today, our mission, should you choose to accept it, is to really grapple with the staying power of this book. Why The Catcher in the Rye is so influential, so debated, even today. We're going to unpack its major themes, these vibrant characters, and figure out why it still hits a nerve with so many readers.
Sounds like a plan.
And to do that, we've got some pretty insightful material to guide us. We're looking at excerpts from a discussion by Dr. Jasvant Rathod. Really interesting stuff.
Okay.
Plus, we've got this super in-depth analysis. Really gets into the nitty-gritty. So to kick things off, let's trace the start of Holden's journey.
Well, it all begins really with that expulsion from Pensy Prep.
Right, flunking out of Pensy Prep. And it's not just a minor setback for him. It's like the first domino in this whole chain reaction of disillusionment.
Absolutely.
I mean, failing 4 out of 5 classes.
That's rough.
It's a complete nosedive. And our sources point to this visit Holden has with his history teacher, Mr. Spencer.
Trying to set him straight.
Yeah, but it seems like Holden's just going through the motions, totally detached, and Mr. Spencer, bless his heart, is giving him this pep talk. It's well-intentioned, but
Totally backfired.
Holden just shuts down. It's like this confirmation that the adult world just doesn't get him.
Yeah, you see that resistance to authority figures popping up a lot.
Right. And it's not even about the advice itself. It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
It's like this fundamental distrust. Like, he doesn't believe adults can actually understand him.
It's a key part of his character, that suspicion.
Totally. And even before he officially leaves Pensy, it's obvious that place is a pressure cooker for him. We hear about this roommate, Ackley.
Oh, act like...
Total nuisance, right? Always getting on Holden's nerves. But then things really blow up with Stradlater.
Ah, the Stradlater situation.
Yeah, the whole Jane Gallagher incident. Now, this is a pivotal moment, wouldn't you say?
Without a doubt. You have to remember, Jane represents something pure, something untainted in Holden's mind.
Like a symbol of lost innocence.
Exactly. And Stradlater going on a date with her, well, it sets off all these alarm bells for Holden.
Like, he doesn't trust Stradlater's intentions at all.
Not one bit. And it triggers this protective instinct in Holden. It's not even really about Stradlater or Jane specifically. It's more about Holden's fear of this pure, innocent connection being corrupted by the phoniness he sees everywhere.
And that fear, that rage, boils over into a physical fight.
The very raw expression of that inner turmoil he's going through.
Absolutely. And that fight is what sends Holden running to New York City.
Makes sense.
But his first experiences there, they just make his isolation even worse.
Right, holed up in that Edmont hotel.
The Edmond. And he's looking out the window, watching all these, like, odd behaviors.
It's like he's looking into this distorted mirror, you know?
Yeah.
Reflecting all the things he hates about the adult world.
Yeah, and it just reinforces that feeling of being an outsider. But here's the thing. He still tries to connect with people.
He does.
Remember that awkward call to Faith Cavendish?
Oh, yeah.
He thought she was a stripper. Which, by the way, says a lot about his skewed perceptions.
Definitely.
And then there's that scene at the lavender room. Totally unfulfilling. It's like he's reaching out, but he's reaching in the wrong places. Expecting something real, something genuine that just isn't there.
He's looking for authenticity in a world that feels increasingly artificial.
Exactly. Now, we've talked about Jane Gallagher a few times, and it's clear she holds a special place in Holden's mind, more than just a fleeting memory.
She's an ideal, a symbol of a time before everything went wrong.
Before the fall from grace, the corruption of adulthood.
Precisely. And Holden clings to those memories, playing checkers with Jane, their golf outings, even that time he comforted her after that incident with her stepfather. They all get filtered through this nostalgic lens.
He's trying to preserve that image of her, of that time.
Desperately.
Which makes that whole encounter with Sonny, the prostitute, and Maurice, the elevator operator, hit even harder.
Brutal reality check.
It is. Deepens his sense of betrayal, just solidifies his cynical view of the adult world.
You can see how that experience would just reinforce all his fears.
Absolutely. Then there's that date with Sally Hayes. Talk about a clash of personalities.
Oh, yeah. Complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Holden's all impulsive, wants to run away, escape all the phonies, and Sally, well, she's all about fitting in, planning for the future, the whole 9 yards.
Their blow-up is inevitable.
It is. And it highlights how Holden just can't connect with anyone who doesn't share his specific brand of disillusionment.
It's like he's speaking a different language, one they can't understand.
Totally. But in the midst of all this, his relationship with his younger sister, Phoebe, shines through.
A true bright spot.
His visit home, even though he's hiding his expulsion, is such a key moment.
Their connection is the heart of the book. Phoebe's smart, insightful, and she sees right through Holden's facade.
She calls him on his BS.
Gently, but firmly. Her reaction to his expulsion, while it's initially disappointing, it comes from a place of love, of worry. It's the opposite of all those phony interactions he's been having.
Exactly. And it's during his time with Phoebe that we get that iconic Catcher in the Rye fantasy.
Right, from that Robert Burns poem he mishears.
Which, by the way, perfectly encapsulates Holden's whole desire to protect children from, falling off the cliff of innocence. It's such a striking image. Even though Phoebe, bless her sharp little mind, points out that he's got the poem wrong.
It's a really insightful moment, because the Catcher in the Rye idea shows us the depth of Holden's fear. He's terrified of children losing that purity, that innocence. And Phoebe's correction, if a body meet a body, subtly underscores that, hey, human connection, shared experience, that's important too.
Something Holden himself struggles with.
Big time.
Now, after being with Phoebe, Holden seeks out Mr. Antolini, another former teacher, hoping for some guidance, I guess.
Makes sense. Looking for a mentor.
But things take a really strange, uncomfortable turn. There's that whole incident where Mr. Antolini strokes Holden's forehead while he's sleeping.
Yeah, that's a tough one to interpret.
It really is. Holden feels betrayed, and he takes off again. It's like even the adults who seem to want to help.
That can't be trusted.
Exactly. And as the story winds down, we see Phoebe wanting to run away with Holden, just like he wanted to with Sally.
Interesting parallel.
But this time, Holden says no. And then we get that incredibly powerful scene with Phoebe on the carousel in the rain, Holden watching her. And after that, he has a breakdown and ends up in a mental hospital. It's an ending that leaves you thinking.
It does. The carousel scene is significant. Holden realizes he can't stop the world from spinning. He can't shield Phoebe from everything. She's going to reach for those gold rings, even if it means risking a fall. And his breakdown, well, it highlights just how much he's been through emotionally.
Yeah, heavy stuff. So let's talk about some of the key players in Holden's world. Obviously, we've been focusing on him, but it's worth pointing out how central he is to the whole reading experience.
Oh, absolutely. Holden Caulfield isn't just the main character, he's the narrator. We see everything through his eyes, through his very specific lens, and he's smart, that's clear, but also incredibly disillusioned.
Right.
And his voice, the way he tells the story, it's crucial. The slang, the sarcasm, even the profanity, it all helps us understand his alienation, his longing for connection, even when he can't express it directly.
Yeah, it's such a distinct voice. And then there's Phoebe, like a breath of fresh air in all the gloom and doom.
She represents a genuine innocence, a perceptiveness that cuts through Holden's defenses. She's not naive, she just understands the world in a different way, and she's not afraid to challenge Holden.
Like with the poem.
Exactly. She's the embodiment of that purity Holden wants to protect. And then you have Allie, Holden's deceased brother. Even though he's not physically present, his presence is felt throughout the story.
His death is a huge turning point for Holden, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's a defining trauma. And Allie becomes this idealized figure representing the innocence that's been lost. The memory of Allie, especially that baseball mitt with the poems on it, is a constant source of pain for Holden. It fuels his fear of the world becoming even more phony, more corrupt.
And we've mentioned Jane Gallagher a few times, but her role as this symbol of innocence really drives so much of Holden's anxiety, his reaction to Stradlater.
She represents this idealized past, a time before things got complicated. And that makes it hard for Holden to connect with anyone in the present. He's constantly comparing everyone to this impossible standard.
Leading to more disappointment, more cynicism.
Exactly. And Mr. Antolini, he starts out as a potential source of wisdom, but ultimately he just adds to Holden's disillusionment.
Another letdown.
Yeah, he represents that idea that even the adults who try to help can let you down. It deepens that sense of alienation for Holden. And then you have Sally Hayes. Her interactions with Holden really highlight his rejection of societal norms.
They're oil and water, those two.
They are. Sally represents everything Holden dislikes. Superficiality, conformity, and their failed connection just emphasizes how alienated he feels from the mainstream.
So we've looked at Holden's journey, the people in his life. Now let's talk about some of the big themes at play here. Loss of innocence is a major one, as we've seen with a Catcher in the Rye fantasy.
That theme runs deep. Holden's fear of children losing their purity, his protectiveness of Phoebe, his longing for Allie, it all speaks to this profound concern.
Like he's terrified of what adulthood brings.
Right, and the analysis we have even touches on the historical context. It suggests that the post-World War II era had this collective anxiety about lost innocence. So the book likely resonated with people on that level too.
Makes sense. And then there's that overwhelming sense of alienation, the search for identity, something so many teenagers can relate to.
Definitely. Holden's criticism of phonies, anyone he sees as fake, is tied to his own struggle to figure out who he is in a world that feels increasingly inauthentic. He wants something real, something genuine.
And the novel doesn't shy away from mental health either. Holden's thoughts often hint at a deeper sadness, even suicidal thoughts.
It's a really raw, honest portrayal of adolescent mental distress. The novel doesn't use labels like depression, but those feelings are there, simmering beneath the surface.
And it makes the book relevant to conversations about mental health even today.
Absolutely. The analysis even compares it to other literary works that deal with similar psychological themes.
And finally, there's the theme of coming of age.
Yes. Holden resists that transition with everything he's got.
And it's a painful, messy process for him.
That resistance is what makes The Catcher in the Rye such a classic coming-of-age story. Holden embodies that struggle, that awkwardness, that longing for something more that so many people experience during those years.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and look at the book's legacy, its impact. Published in 1951, but it's still widely read, taught in schools.
It sold over 65 million copies, and it continues to sell about 1 million copies every year. It's a testament to its enduring power. The book taps into these fundamental human experiences, the anxieties of adolescence, and those resonate across generations.
And J.D. Salinger himself, he became this recluse after the book's success.
Yeah, his withdrawal from public life just added to the mystique. And his dedication to protecting his work, especially his stance against film adaptations, is a big part of the book's history.
He didn't want anyone messing with Holden's voice.
Exactly. And the settings in the book, New York City, Pensy Prep, they're so vividly drawn.
They almost feel like characters themselves.
And that first-person narration, it pulls you right into Holden's head. You experience everything from his perspective, with all his biases, his emotional baggage.
It's immersive.
Absolutely. And of course, the book has had its share of controversy, the language, the themes.
Banned in some places.
Yeah, but that controversy, ironically, might have contributed to its appeal, especially for young readers who felt like the book was speaking directly to their experiences.
Real, raw, unfiltered. And even with the controversy, its literary value, the way it tackles these timeless themes, has cemented its place in the canon.
Without a doubt.
And Holden Caulfield himself, he's become this symbol of teenage angst, rebellion.
An icon.
The novel's influence on literature, pop culture is undeniable. He's a touchstone for anyone who's felt like an outsider who struggled with authenticity.
So wrapping up, we've explored Holden's journey, his struggle with loss of innocence, his feelings of alienation in a world he sees as phony, and the novel's honest, unflinching look at adolescent depression, all told through this unforgettable narrative voice.
Heavy stuff, but so well done. And it makes you think, in a world that's constantly telling us who to be, how to act, how do we hold on to that sense of self, is feeling like an outsider, at least to some degree, a part of growing up.
It's a question worth pondering.
It is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a journey.
My pleasure.